There's a memory that doesn't behave like other memories, one that refuses to settle into the past where it belongs. You can be standing in the middle of your present life, years or even decades away from when it happened, and suddenly it rises without warning. Not as a faded recollection, but as something vivid and immediate, something that carries the same weight it carried when it was still happening. Your body responds as if no time has passed, as if you're still standing in that room, still hearing those words, still feeling the ground shift beneath you. Other people seem to move through time differently. They talk about the past as something behind them, something they've integrated and filed away. But for you, certain moments never filed anywhere. They live in the present tense, interrupting ordinary days with their insistence on being felt again. A song comes on and you're back there. A smell passes through a room and the years collapse. Your nervous system doesn't know that this is now and that was then. You've tried to move on, probably many times, probably with genuine effort. But moving on implies that the past is somewhere else, somewhere you can walk away from. And for you, it isn't. It's here. It's always here. Sometimes the realization doesn't come gradually. It arrives all at once, in a moment when you catch yourself reacting to something small and notice that the reaction is far too big for what just happened. Someone cancels plans and you feel abandoned in a way that belongs to a much older wound. Someone raises their voice slightly and your whole system floods with fear that doesn't match the situation. You're not responding to what's in front of you. You're responding to something that ended years ago but never actually ended inside you. This is the moment of recognition, and it can be disorienting. You thought you had moved past this. You thought the work you did, the time that passed, the distance you put between yourself and what happened had changed something fundamental. But here you are, still flinching at the same triggers, still carrying the same weight, still organizing your life around avoiding the feelings that live in a place you thought you'd left behind. The past isn't behind you. It's underneath you, running like a current beneath everything you do. The recognition is painful, but it's also the beginning of something. You can't release what you refuse to see. You can't heal what you pretend isn't still bleeding. The moment you realize you're still living in something that already ended is the moment you finally have a choice about whether to stay there. The brain wasn't designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. And from a survival perspective, remembering what hurt you is far more important than remembering what pleased you. The meal that satisfied you yesterday matters less than the predator that almost killed you. So the brain evolved to hold on to pain with a grip it never applies to pleasure, to encode threat more deeply than reward, to make sure you never forget what almost destroyed you. This is called negativity bias. Positive experiences washed through the brain like water, requiring repetition to leave any trace. But negative experiences are recorded instantly, burned into memory with detail that ensures you'll recognize the danger if it returns. The brain doesn't care that this makes you suffer. It cares that you survive. This is why the past that haunts you is almost always painful. The brain let the good times fade while etching the hard times into pathways that still fire decades later. You're not broken for holding on to what hurt. You're running software written for a world far more dangerous than this one. The past doesn't just live in your mind. It lives in your body. Your muscles remember what your thoughts have tried to forget. Your stomach tightens at associations your conscious mind stopped tracking years ago. The nervous system recorded everything that happened during moments of intensity, and it doesn't distinguish between then and now. When something echoes the original experience, the body responds as if the threat is present, as if no time has passed at all. This is why you can understand intellectually that something is over and still feel it happening. The body keeps its own timeline, one that doesn't respect calendars or logic. A sound, a tone of voice, a certain quality of light in a room, and suddenly your heart is racing, your breath is shallow, your system is mobilizing for a danger that exists only in the past. You're not imagining things. You're experiencing a body that never received the signal that the emergency ended. Trauma lives here, in this gap between what the mind knows and what the body believes. You can tell yourself 1,000 times that it's over, but until the nervous system learns that it's safe now, that the moment has truly passed, you'll keep being pulled back into a past that your body insists is still happening. Some children grow up in homes where the past was always present. Parents who couldn't stop talking about what happened to them, who filtered every moment through old wounds, who made the past the lens through which all of life was seen. These children learn that history isn't something you move through, but something you carry, something that defines you more than anything happening now. Letting go wasn't modeled because no one around them knew how. Other children learned that the past held something precious that the present couldn't offer. Maybe childhood was the only time they felt safe, loved, or seen. Maybe everything after felt like loss. The past became a place to return to because it contained something the present kept failing to provide. Moving forward meant moving away from the only version of life that felt bearable. And some children learned that the past was dangerous to release because it held important warnings. If you forget what happened, it might happen again. If you stop replaying the pain, you might let your guard down. The past became a form of protection, a way to stay vigilant against a world that had already proven itself unsafe. For some people, the past isn't just memory. It's the last place where something precious still exists, the relationship that ended lives on only in recollection. The person who died survives only in the replaying of moments shared. The version of yourself that felt whole exists only in a time that's no longer accessible. Letting go doesn't feel like healing. It feels like a second loss, like agreeing to destroy the only shrine where what mattered is still preserved. This is the bind that keeps people frozen. Moving forward requires releasing the grip on what was, but that grip feels like the only thing keeping the past alive. If you stop thinking about them, do they disappear entirely? If you stop revisiting what happened, does it become as if it never occurred? The holding on isn't dysfunction. It's loyalty. It's love that has nowhere else to go. It's the refusal to let something meaningful be erased by time. The fear underneath is that letting go means betraying what mattered, agreeing that it's truly over, accepting a present where that person or that time no longer exists. And some part of you would rather live in pain than live in a world where the past has been fully buried. The mind has a deep need for completion. It wants stories to have endings, conflicts to reach resolution, questions to find answers. When something ends without closure, the mind doesn't simply accept it and move on. It keeps returning to the scene, searching for what was missed, trying to construct an ending that was never provided. The past that haunts you most is often the past that never properly finished. Maybe it was a relationship that ended without explanation, leaving you with questions that still circle years later. Maybe it was a conversation that never happened, words that were never spoken, an apology that never arrived. Maybe it was a death that came too suddenly, a goodbye you never got to say, a future that was erased before you could prepare. The story stopped in the middle, and your mind has been trying to write the rest ever since. This replaying isn't weakness or obsession. It's the psyche's attempt to complete what was left incomplete, to find meaning in something that refused to make sense. The problem is that some stories can't be finished, not in the way you need them to be. And until you accept that the ending you're searching for will never come, you'll keep returning to a chapter that closed without your consent. Part of you already knows how the story ended. You were there. You lived through it. But knowing isn't the same as accepting, and somewhere deep inside, there's a version of you still trying to rewrite what happened. If only you had said something different. If only you had acted sooner. If only you had been more or less or other than what you were. The replaying isn't just remembering. It's rehearsing alternatives that exist only in imagination. This search for a different ending is exhausting because it leads nowhere. You can reconstruct the past 1,000 times in your mind, choosing different words, making different decisions, and none of it changes what actually occurred. The ending already happened. It's fixed in time, beyond revision. But the part of you that can't accept this keeps returning, keeps searching, keeps hoping that enough mental energy will somehow unlock a door that was sealed long ago. The fantasy of a different ending is often easier to live in than the grief of the real one. As long as you're still searching, you don't have to fully accept that this is how it went. The searching is a way of staying in relationship with possibility, of refusing to let the final version be final. But the price is that you never arrive in the present, because part of you is always back there, trying to fix what can't be fixed. Sometimes the past isn't a prison. It's a refuge. The present feels uncertain, demanding, full of problems without clear solutions. But the past, especially the version polished by memory, feels safe. You know how it ends. You know who you were there. The edges have softened, the difficulties have faded, and what remains is a golden place where things made sense in ways they no longer do. Nostalgia can become a hiding place, a way to avoid the discomfort of now by retreating into the comfort of then. When the present asks too much, when the future feels overwhelming, the past offers a familiar room where you already know every corner. You return not because it was perfect, but because it was known. And known feels safer than the unknown stretching out in front of you. The danger is that the past you're returning to isn't real anymore. It's a reconstruction, edited by longing, stripped of the pain that was also present. You're not remembering what was. You're remembering what you needed it to be. And while you're living in that edited version, the actual present keeps moving, keeps asking for your attention, keeps offering possibilities you can't see because you're facing the wrong direction. There's a strange phenomenon that happens when you've spent too long looking backward. The present begins to feel thin, insubstantial, like something happening to someone else. You go through the motions of daily life, but nothing quite lands. Meanwhile, the past pulses with vividness, with weight, with a sense of significance that the present can't seem to match. You feel more alive in memory than in the moment you're actually living. This isn't imagination. It's where your attention has been trained to go. Energy flows where focus goes, and if your focus has been fixed on what already happened, the present becomes starved. It receives only what's left over after the past has taken its share. The moments in front of you pass without being fully inhabited because you're not fully there to meet them. You're half here, half somewhere else, and the somewhere else keeps winning. The tragedy is that this creates a cycle that reinforces itself. The more you live in the past, the less nourishing the present becomes. The less nourishing the present, the more appealing the retreat into memory. You keep returning to what felt real, because nothing now feels as real. But it's not that the present lacks substance. It's that you haven't been present enough to feel it. At some point, the past stops being just something that happened to you and becomes something you are. The story of what occurred weaves itself into your sense of self until you can't separate who you are from what you experienced. You introduce yourself through your history. You understand yourself through your wounds. The past isn't background. It's the foundation on which your entire identity stands. This happens naturally when experiences are significant enough. Trauma shapes us. Loss reshapes us. The events that marked us leave their imprint on how we see ourselves and how we expect others to see us. But there's a difference between being shaped by the past and being trapped in it. When your identity becomes fixed to what happened, you lose access to who you might become. The story of what was blocks the possibility of what could be. You might notice this when someone asks about your future and you find yourself talking about your past instead. Or when new experiences can't compete with old ones for significance. The self that formed in response to what happened has become so solid that it resists any update. You know who you were in that story. You're not sure who you'd be without it. There's a question that might terrify you if you let it in fully. Who would you be if you released the past? Not forgot it, not erased it, but stopped letting it define you. stopped introducing yourself through it, stopped filtering every new experience through the lens of what already happened. The question isn't comfortable because it reveals how much of your identity has become dependent on a story you keep telling. For some people, the past provides meaning that the present hasn't offered. The suffering became significant. The struggle became a narrative of survival. The wound became proof of depth. To let go would mean surrendering the very thing that made you feel substantial. Without the story, who are you? Just another person living an ordinary life, without the weight that made you feel real. This is why some people unconsciously resist healing, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they don't know who they'd be without it. The pain has become familiar, even comfortable in its way. The identity built around what happened has become the only self they know. Releasing the past means facing a kind of death, the ending of who you've been, with no guarantee of who you'll become. Sometimes the reason you can't let go is simple. You never fully grieved. The loss happened, and life demanded that you keep moving. There was no space to fall apart, no permission to feel the full weight of what occurred. So you pushed forward, carried what you could, and buried the rest somewhere you didn't have to look at it. But grief that gets buried doesn't dissolve. It waits. Unfinished grief has a particular quality. It's not the sharp pain of fresh loss, but a dull heaviness that colors everything. You might not even recognize it as grief anymore. It shows up as numbness, as inability to feel fully present, as a vague sense that something is wrong without being able to name what. The past won't release you because you never released the pain. It's still in there, pressed down, waiting for the tears that were never allowed to fall. Completing grief requires going back, not to relive the trauma, but to finally feel what you couldn't feel then. The sadness that was too big, the anger that wasn't safe, the fear that no one would hold. These emotions didn't disappear when you suppressed them. They're still waiting for permission to move through you, and until they do, part of you stays stuck at the moment when the grief began. There's a fear that keeps people anchored to what was, the belief that moving forward means leaving the past behind entirely, that healing requires forgetting, that letting go is the same as erasing what mattered. But this isn't how it works. You can carry the past without being imprisoned by it. You can honor what happened without living there. The goal was never to forget. The goal was to remember without drowning. Living forward means allowing the past to become part of your story rather than the whole story. It means the memory can surface without hijacking your entire day. It means you can speak about what happened without your nervous system believing it's still happening. The past takes its place among all the other parts of you, significant but not sovereign, present but not in control. You integrate rather than amputate. This isn't a single moment of release, but a gradual loosening, a slow opening of the hand that has been gripping so tightly for so long. Some days the grip will tighten again. Some days the past will feel as close as it ever did. But something will be different. You'll know that you survived it once, that you're surviving it still, and that there's a present waiting for you every time you're ready to return to it. The past made you. It doesn't have to keep you, and the life in front of you is still open, still possible, still yours to live.